All right, let's start it up with planned success. So this is going to be a series on how to kickstart your life and how to plan it. You want to build it from the ground up on purpose. So those of you that have journals, if you don't really know what to write on it, this series is going to give you a plan. We want to take our time with the series. So each time we give you a break, we want you to really take the time and really think about what's being asked in this series. So the first thing I want you to do is ask yourself one really simple question. When does my week actually begin? Is it on a Monday morning when my alarm goes off, or is it on a Sunday night when it's quiet? You've thought about what you want to happen in your life or for that week with a pen and a written pad. You know, the average person starts their week on accident, but a successful person starts his week on purpose. Simply put, if you don't run your week's going to run you. So, life, it just has this weird way of filling your life and your time with someone else's purpose and goals if you don't fill it with your own. And the next thing you need to ask yourself is, which type of person am I? You're either one of two. You're either a have do be person or you're a be do have person. All right, let me explain. Most people are have do be person. Once I have these things, then I'll be doing these things, then I'll be this person. You want to be a be do have person. I'm just going to be the person I want to be, which means I'm doing the things that that successful person does, which means I'll eventually have what he has. So if I want to be a person that I want to be a shooting guard in the NCAA Division 1. Well, I don't want to say, oh, once I'm a good shooter, then I'll do these things and I'll be this great shooter. No, no, no. Just be the person you're talking about. How many shots do you think a Division 1 elite shooting guard takes? Oh, okay. Well, maybe he makes 500 shots a day. Okay, I'm gonna start making 500 shots a day. I'm gonna be that person, which means I do the things that successful people do, which means eventually I'll have the things that that person has. All right, and you really have to, just ask yourself or speak to yourself honestly about these questions. When you set out to do things, do you follow through at attacking your goals? Or are they just, more of a wish list, something that I talk about, but I'm really not putting any action forward? So just think about the last three things that you wanted. How did you attack it? What could you have done better? You need to like literally create a list to let you know, like, okay, hold on. I realize about myself, I do more talking than I do doing, and we want to become action people. So stick with me. We're about to start this series because the way you attack and create your goals is about to change tremendously. So the first thing I want you to describe is the perfect outcomes. It could be multiple, it could be a few, but describe in very distinct detail the ideal and perfect outcome in a vivid way. And I'm going to give a few examples. I don't want to give too many because I want you to think for yourself, but that might include, okay, I was on B team. I want to be the A team starter next year. If I accomplish those perfect outcomes, how will that make me feel? Well, I'll tell you, for me, it'll make me feel accomplished. It'll make me feel like I can do hard things. It'll put belief in myself. Um, how might things be different? Well, now when I go to the park, because I'm an A team player, people look for me. They're like, hey, let's wait until Juwan gets here before we start the game because I really want him as a player. Guys are gonna really seek you out. How might you may be viewed? You might be viewed as a go-getter, relentless, a leader, because they remember when you weren't as strong, and then you made the decision to say, you know what, I want to become this person, and people are gonna view you as a hard worker, as someone they can trust. Everybody's been in class before where they didn't prepare for a test, and so they sit next to someone who they know usually does prepare for a test. And the reason is they have zero confidence in passing that test unless they can look off your paper. You're the person, you're the blueprint. You're going to look at off my paper because you know I'm capable of getting the job done. The added responsibilities, that's interesting because a lot of players, and they don't really realize it, is they're looking for players to fill their voids. So when they're picking teams, they're always concerned about who's on my team. Well, I'm not a very good dribbler, so I need somebody who can dribble, and I don't really defend that well, so I need somebody who can guard the ball, so I could guard a weaker player. None of these things involve how good you are. So the added responsibilities might be, you know what? Now that I'm a better ball handler, I don't really need a ball handler. I'll be that ball handler. I'll be that defender. there's extra responsibilities that come with growing. You got to be able to take that on and recognize that that is something that comes with promotion, more responsibility. And you got to make sure you include measurements so you can see when you arrive. When do I need to create new goals and new things to get to where I want to go? So, when I played professionally, we used to have to make 8 out of 10 shots in an empty gym. And the reason that was a stat is because in a real game, you shoot 30% less than you do in an empty gym. So if I'm making 8 of 10 threes, well, in a real game, once you add in fatigue and closeouts and defense and all that other stuff, now I'm shooting 50%. So that might be a goal of mine, is to say, oh, now that I'm making 8 for 10, I'm now the shooter that I've intended on being. This is basically your GPS. This is the latitude and longitude on how you're going to get to your destination. And you do that by drawing out very, very vivid details. All right, so just so you know, like what to write in your journal and how to do this, here's a few examples of getting the perfect outcomes. How we'll read it is we'll go from this side to this side. So to be a collegiate player, I'm in high school right now. And you know what? I need to be the most consistent defender and the most efficient offensive player in the district. And then let's move over here to talk about the prerequisites in order to do that. Well, I need to be able to hold my opponents to below 35 field goal percentage. So how am I doing that? I have a plan. I'm like, you know what? I've scouted the player. I know that when he goes right, he likes attacking all the way down here to the rim. So I'm going to take away his right hand. And my next plan is when he goes left, he likes to do his pull-up jumper. So I'm going to sit on that, make sure I strip or make that difficult for him. And now when he goes to his third move, especially when you're dealing with high schoolers, you're going to make them less efficient to the point where they will shoot 35% or less. So I got to have a plan. I got to have a certain level of IQ to do this. And if I want to be the most efficient offensive player, I got to understand shot selection. I want to shoot over 50%. So I need to practice the shots of the spaces that I get to effortlessly. When I was in high school, I get 5 to 10 feet from the basket effortlessly, but I didn't have a shot for it. So you got to think of, where do I get effortlessly? What shots do I need? Do I need to be more ambidextrous at the rim with both hands so I can get there? You have to think about these things. Remember, you're designing your future and you have to get there on purpose. Next, let's say I want to be the best two-way player in the region. If I'm that, I know that I could be a collegiate player. Well, what does it take? If I'm going to be able to, I have to commit to the weight room. I have to become, the best conditioned athlete to ensure this is a reality. Because the thing is, to be a two-way player, that means you're playing both sides, offense and defense. And that means you got to be in incredible shape. You probably got to be a bit stronger, especially if you're a younger player, to compete with the senior. And let's say you're a sophomore, you need to be able to have versatility to both of those ways, so you can be the person that you're desiring to be. I want to be viewed as a leader in every room I walk in. Well, that's valuable. Most coaches look for that. Hey, I need a leader. I need a go-getter. I need somebody who, when I'm not in the gym, is going to keep us going and keep our drills running smoothly and the way we need them to run. Well, I'm going to work on becoming the best listener. And if you're the best listener, you know the needs of your teammates. That's the person who controls everything, because it's not the person who's talking that's controlling conversations. It's basically the person who's asking the right questions, because they're controlling the tone, they're controlling what we talk about, they're controlling where do we go from here because of their lining of questions. And that's part of being a leader, is being a listener. And a lot of players don't understand or realize that. Let's say I want to have multiple options because my IQ, versatility, and disciplines are going to let me be the type of person that has multiple colleges. So you know what? I'm gonna get in the books. I'm gonna make sure I qualify for as many schools, the academic schools. I'm gonna make sure I can play with pace. I'm gonna make sure I can play with IQ, because I want to be able to play for a team that executes a lot. All these things are options. I think a mistake that a lot of players make is they say, "Hey, I am who I am," and what ends up happening is they end up looking for the perfect fit for them. Well, I think you should reverse that. It's like relationships. Don't look at, hey, who's right for me? What you need to look at is, who do I need to become desirable for multiple people, so I can make the selection of who I want to be with or what school I want to be with. It's the wrong question when you're asking who you want to be for you. you need to become the person that's desirable to everybody. And what that requires is versatility. It requires you to be able to be a great defender that can get up and down the court, but also a team that can execute, but also a player that could play for an Ivy League school if you have the right grades. Add versatility to everything that you do, and that's going to increase your options and your value.